Warning. I chain smoke and I say fuck a lot. But I accept myself for the way I am. I accept you too. Viewer discretion advised. From an open secret on Twitter. Chris Cornell was the main financial backer for a documentary, The Silent Children, about child sex trafficking. After he died, the project was canceled. Chester Bennington was going to appear in the documentary. His band, Linkin Park, was going to contribute music. The Silent Children, Introduction. The Silent Children will be a long-form documentary film with a compelling and original point of view. Drawing upon the unique talents and experience of its filmmaker, it will take the viewer deep into a world that exposes the truths of child sexploitation and human trafficking. In keeping with the great tradition of hard-hitting, investigative film journalism, and through privileged access, the film will follow several never-seen-before scenarios, ranging from shocking expose to uplifting redemption. Our approach will always be fresh and engaging. As we send field teams to film in distant locations, we will deal with subject matter that presents a worldview of this growing humanitarian crisis. Traffic Jam unleashes music to stop child trafficking. The ability to work musicians into the documentary will help to give other identifiable voices for these children. For example, Pat Benatar said that her Hell is for Children song is about child abuse. There are many artists that have written similar type songs, or who simply want to speak up for the children. Given the right songs or talking points, artist vignettes could offer good transition from one episode to another in the documentary. Often a good story isn't enough. The inclusion of artists, both in the soundtrack and with vignettes in the movie, will add a lot more sizzle, media interest, and potential viewership. Some of those artists involved might include the Dave Matthews Band, Rolling Stones, Sheryl Crow, John Mayer, Linkin Park, etc. The Silent Children. They still have a website up, thesilentchildren.com, and there's actually still a video up on it. I took some clips, but I'll leave a link if you want to watch the whole thing.
What? Hello? You want to watch chaos? Watch this. My name is Paul. What is your name? Jamie. Hi.
My name's Paul Myhill. Ever since I was a young man, I've been a world traveler. As a kid, I was a fast tracker, plunged headfirst into entrepreneurial ventures. With all the success, I was losing a sense of significance, my place in the world. My first real taste of suffering children came on a visit to Uganda in the 90s. A little girl named Peace, 2 years old, as fragile as balsa wood, was suffering from malaria, had lost her parents to AIDS. My wife and I took turns holding this little girl, wiping her brow, only to learn a couple of weeks later after returning to the United States that she didn't make it. And that little girl has left a lasting impression upon me. A person like little Peace should not have to die simply because she is born in the wrong quadrant of this globe, while we sit idly by chasing our toys, much like I used to do. There's a fair amount of places around the world where we put ourselves in a fair amount of risk. But our compassion for the children and asking the question, well, if not me, who? Who is going to stand in the gap and reach out to be an aid for these children? We're in Chisinau, Moldova right now, the 10th poorest nation in the world and certainly the most impoverished nation in all of Europe. For most people in the United States have never even heard of it. Moldova, known as the trafficking hub of this part of the world, population of a little over 4 million, and by some statistics, 400,000 of its people have been trafficked out.
This is the area where one of the head guys involved in human trafficking lives here, and nobody, police doesn't come this place.
Okay.
Just be careful. The cameras are on both sides of the house, and they see us. Be careful. Those guys are watching. It's a very known criminal area. If you come with a car and you're trying to run away from here, this is the only way. No way to get out of here. If you know so much, these guys would love, or they want to kill you.
Yeah.
Because you know the names, you know a lot of stuff. That's why I call these girls that are really released from human trafficking. They are like submarines. They go deep and they don't say anybody anything if they want to stay alive.
Those guys are living close to this railroad and are having girls transported
from this area. Connects Moldova to Romania, to Ukraine, and to the port in Ukraine on Odessa.
We're standing in one of Istanbul's port areas. Girls from Ukraine, Romania, Moldova, Transnistria are shipped to Turkey into the sex trade here, either as a destination point or as a transit point. The girls are actually put onto containers, and if you can imagine having a 32-hour plus ride in a container to then be let out and to then suffer the exploitation that occurs afterwards. The Turkish mafia basically rented a whole hotel, took these girls to this hotel, impregnated them, and the babies were then taken to have their organs harvested. Can you imagine the depth of depravity that it takes to take a poor child in an orphanage who's already lost their parents or already been abandoned, to then take them to a place of being raped, to then see that same child bear a child, and maybe finally feeling like, gosh, I've accomplished something. Here's offspring, you know, of my womb, to only then have that child ripped away to be harvested. And you've got rich people in the Emirates and Turkey and other countries of affluence, and they've got a dying child. They don't care about the child in a poor developing world. All they care about is they want to save the life of their child. They don't care how that heart, how that liver, how that kidney comes. All they care about is their child. And there's men who are willing to facilitate that. I'm just across the border in northern Thailand, actually in Burma, and the sign behind me pretty much says it all. An exhortation to not sell your children, to not see your children be placed into domestic servitude, to beat and abuse them, and to also see them in a situation of child prostitution or sexual slavery. In a lot of these countries we work in, these kids graduate or age out of these institutional orphanages, often corrupt institutional orphanages, where even the directors will call the traffickers and let them know when certain kids are being released.